Welcome back to Grand Slam Sports Baseball here. I am Charles Foster, and I'm joined here with
Jay Saj.
Getting right into it, the ALCS is fully underway. It is now 2-2 between the Astros and the Rangers. How are you feeling about this series, Jace?
It's a tough one to call. I mean, all 4 games, the away team won, which you don't see too often, But, my original pick in the World Series was the Astros to make the World Series. I'm going to stick with it for now, I believe. Because I believe they are the better team than the Rangers.
I mean, it's also hard to say that it's a home or away game because all the games are in Texas. Most of those fans are making that trip anyway between Arlington and Houston. But I'm sticking with my Rangers, obviously. I had them going to the World Series. I have them now winning it. I think that this team, their hitting it's just going to catch up on them. And once the Astros put in Christian Javier, I kind of knew that they were going to take that game because Javier is a playoff demon. For some reason, this team, him and Altuve and Jordan, in the playoffs, they are unstoppable. But they won't have Javier
That's why they aren't going to lose this series. I do not believe so. Not to the Rangers.
Yeah.
I still think this is their series to lose. It's a best of 3 now, so it really is any one series at this point. And this could very well go 7 games and end in Houston, which I think in that scenario, Houston has the advantage and they win the series.
Despite the Rangers being an older team, they're a young team in the form of playoff experience. And I think that showed last night. Their pitching, they're just kind of like at the end of their pitching run. And now they're going to have their top 3 guys in there. But Scherzer has to step up if he's going to be pitching for Game 7, which I'm assuming he's going to be. And also, the Astros, I don't know if they go Javier Game 7. I'm assuming they're going to go Framber Valdez with either Game 5 or Game 6. So I'm very interested to see how this happens between the 2 teams.
It's going to be an exciting end of this series.
I agree. I'll be watching every game, honestly.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. This one's been fun.
It has been fun.
2 very smaller market teams, not a lot of success in their franchises. These 2 teams, honestly, you could say the same with the Texas teams too. Not a lot of success until recently for the Astros and pretty much none for the Rangers. These 2 teams, very fun. How do you feel about this?
I feel like, once again, this is going to be a very fun series. I mean, the D-backs pulling out Game 3. I thought for sure this was the Phillies series to maybe even sweep them. But when the D-backs won Game 3, it really made it a toss-up now. Because if they pull out Game 4 at home and just like that, it's 2-2 again, really anyone can win the series.
Yeah, and Ketel Marte, the hero last night. But once again, I think that this is another case of the pitching is going to start getting to the Diamondbacks.
They struggled in Game 1 and 2. Game 1 and 2, they got smoked.
Exactly. They're not too deep in their pitching, so they really got to take it in 6. If they go to 7, they're losing, in my opinion.
100%. I don't believe they will take 1 game in Philly.
Exactly, and that you got to win these. Like they have to. They have to take one now.
They have to. Yeah. They have to take one in Philly.
It'll be very interesting. If they go to Game 7, they lose. But if they can steal one in Philly, I think that they can steal the series from them. And we could see a Diamondbacks World Series. I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, honestly. So
it's possible. It's so close right there. But I think I'm going to stick with my boys, Phillies. But we'll see.
I'll stick with the Phillies, too. I want the Diamondbacks to win just so I can prove Jace wrong. But Phillies are the smart pick. The thing about both of these teams that I think is very interesting, and we're going to get into it a little bit more into detail later, is the amount of defense that both of them have. 2 Gold Glove candidates on the Diamondbacks, and I want to say 1 or 2 on the Phillies. Both of these teams have those defenses to where, the pitching might not be the best, but whenever they give up mistake hits, normally their defense can back it up. The only reason that the Phillies are where they are now is because of slightly better pitching and star power. They have the Bryce Harper, they have the Trey Turner. Corbin Carroll, he's younger.
Basically a star already.
He's a star already, but this is still one of his first playoff series. You got to give him a little bit of time to develop. But seeing him here now, I think that race in the NL West is going to be extremely fun now because it's been the Giants, it's been the Padres and Dodgers for years, and the Rockies and Diamondbacks just kind of sitting back because they're expansion teams. But now the Diamondbacks are finally catching up. I think it's going to be a very fun division to look out for next year.
Next year is going to be insane in the NL West with the Padres being good, Dodgers being good, Diamondbacks now being good.
And the Giants are always decent. Average.
And then there's the Rockies, which I'm sorry for the Rockies, but
hey, we said it a few weeks ago. Every division has its weak point, the A's and, of course, in other divisions.
At least didn't have weak point this year.
Let's look at the playoff bracket real quick, kind of seeing where we're at. We're at 2-2 between the Rangers and the Astros. Winner of that, of course, going to represent the AL in the World Series. And then 2-1, Philly leads in the NLCS, and they will be representing the NL in the World Series.
I just want to say, my prediction last time we did this, I had Phillies-Astros rematch, and it's so close right now.
I had the Rangers and
What happened to the Braves?
The Braves, the break, and also he proved me wrong. I'm one to admit whenever I'm wrong. He proved me wrong, but hey, I also said that the Rangers would beat the Orioles, and they did. I think the biggest thing for me, I want to look out for. The Rangers had not lost until those 2 games, and now they've lost 2 in a row. Could momentum be swinging in the Astros' ways? Do you think that the Astros can steal this? Because it would be a steal in this situation.
I wouldn't even consider it a steal when they've been here and done this multiple times.
I think it's.
I still think this is their series to lose. I think they win this in 6.
Because
I think they win the next 2 games.
As the Rangers, you come in, you win 7 straight coming into this series, and now you lose 2 in a row. That momentum just goes down.
Absolutely.
And the Astros are a team that they're like a snake. You put your foot in the wrong neck of the woods, they're going to get you. And
just
it's
like
over.
This actual snake, Team Diamondbacks, exact same way. If they get Game 4, it's a brand new series.
I'm very excited to see how these play out. Should probably be at the World Series by the next episode, so we're gonna have a little World Series outlook coming soon.
Phillies, Astros, once again.
Moving on to another announcement. One of my favorite things as a sports fan in general. I'm a big fan of defense, so we're gonna look at some of the Gold Glove participants and who we think is gonna win at each position. First off, let's start out with catcher. We have Patrick Bailey, Gabriel Moreno, and JT Realmuto. Who do you have?
Give me Patrick Bailey.
I agree with that one. I think Patrick Bailey, he burst onto the scene for the Giants coming into this year. He just looked very good. I was surprised to not see Francisco Alvarez on this list. I think he could have taken Realmuto's spot. But Bailey was first in catcher framing, and he was top 5 in almost every other catching stat that mattered. No other catcher was like that. I think that Patrick Bailey clears this. I think it's his to win. First base, Freddie Freeman, Carlos Santana, and Christian Walker. Who you got?
I like Freddie Freeman. I mean, this one's a tough one to call, really, but I'll go ahead and go Christian Walker on the D-backs. I mean, I think he's just a better overall. I'm going to
choose to agree with you as well. Christian Walker, the best defensive first baseman in all of baseball, in my opinion. First in outs above average at the first base, and second in defensive runs saved. I think that he brings something that not a lot of teams get, and that's a defensive first baseman that can also hit.
Yeah.
We don't see that often. I love seeing that. Going on to second baseman, in my opinion, the hardest one to call, we have Nico Horner, Kim, and Bryson Stott. Who you got?
Kim.
You got Kim?
I like Kim on the Padres for sure.
I'm going to go with Nico Horner on here.
I like him. I mean, he burst onto the scene this year with the Padres, becoming one of those stars on that, star-studded team.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's really good on defense, second base. I think he'll win this Gold Glove over Nico.
I got Nico Horner barely. I mean, okay, so Nico Horner has him and Stott, because we got to give Stott an honorable mention. He came in as a shortstop, moved to second base because of Trey Turner. Same thing with Kim, moved to second base because of Xander Bogaerts. I think that any of these 3 could win. Once again, another coin flip, but I got Nico Horner barely above the rest. Third baseman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, Ryan McMahon, Austin Riley. Before I go into who I'm going to pick, for the first time in 10 years, we are not seeing Nolan Arenado on this list. I was 9 years old last time Nolan Arenado was not a Gold Glover. Who you got taking this one?
Hayes.
You got Ke'Bryan Hayes. I like that pick. Ke'Bryan Hayes is one of the most consistent defenders.
Absolutely.
What he does for the Pirates is unlike a lot of teams. Give me Ryan McMahon. I think that he's been on the radar to win one for a while and has barely lost because of Nolan Arenado. I think he takes it. Another Rocky winning it.
Yeah.
Shortstop, Francisco Lindor, Dansby Swanson, Ezekiel Tovar, Dansby Swanson. Yeah. We're not even really talking about that one. Left field, another one that's pretty easy. Ian Happ, Peralta, Rosario. Give me Ian Happ.
Happ as well.
Center field, this one's a little bit harder. We got Brenton Doyle, Michael Harris, and Alec Thomas. All 3 of these guys, I think really are deserving of this spot, but I think that the one that made the jump for me was Brenton Doyle.
Okay.
I think that the Rockies didn't really have any bright spots coming into this year. I mean, honestly, I don't think they have any bright spots coming into next year either. So whenever you have Brenton Doyle, he made the step up. He became arguably their best player. I got him taking it this year.
I'm going to go with Michael Harris on the Braves.
I think that's fair. He's made some big plays, especially in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
Moving on to right field, another one that I think is pretty easy for me, Fernando Tatis. He moved to right field this offseason. I did not know how it was going to go coming off of the suspension.
Yeah, especially.
I knew that, right field isn't one of those positions that, you need the best defender in. I was expecting Tatis to just be okay. But he has been one of the best defenders in the entire league. I love to see it. I think that Fernando Tatis takes this one easy.
I agree.
Pitcher, I don't really think this one matters that much. It's kind of hard to really, now that
defensive pitcher.
Yeah, there's no Max Fried anymore this year because he's been out for most of the year, and And Stroman's did not get on the Gold Glove list this year, so I got Jesus Luzardo kind of clear on this one.
There's two Phillies, but neither of them wins it. Give me Luzardo.
Utility. This one's my favorite one. It's a player that can do it at more than just one position. Mookie Betts played a little bit of shortstop. Tommy Edman played everywhere, and so did Kim. Give me Kim. I got Kim taking utility.
I'll take Edman.
I think Edman, yeah.
Playing in all these spots, different spots, it's hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, both of them, they do. I mean, Mookie Betts, obviously, he played at 2 different positions, maybe a few other outfielders. I'm not 100% sure. But I know that Kim and Edman played all over the infield. Yeah. That's hard to do. Both of them played it at a high level. Both of them deserve it. I wish we could give it to both of them, but I got to give it to Kim on this one. Moving on to the AL, we got catcher, another one that I think is just pretty easy, Jonah Heim. Jonah Heim led in almost every stat, just like Bailey.
I mean, I like Kirk and I like Rutschman, but this is probably going to be Heim.
I agree.
I have to be honest here.
For first baseman, we got Nathaniel Lowe, Ryan Mountcastle, and Anthony Rizzo.
Give me my Yankee guy, Anthony Rizzo.
I hate to say it, Anthony Rizzo. 7 outs above average and 3 defensive runs saved. He looked great this year, especially for not even being on the team for most of the year. I mean, he was out for a decent amount of time. Second base, Mauricio Dubon, Andres Jimenez, and Marcus Semien. Good Lord. I'm going to go Andres Jimenez.
I'm going to be different this time. I'm going to go Semien.
I like that pick. You know, I think that Jimenez, you know, he's 3rd in the entire league on outs above average. There was no other second baseman even in the top 5. I think that Andres Jimenez is just a better pick. But he did miss some decent time this year, so it'll be interesting to see if they give it to Semien, who didn't miss very much.
Yeah.
Third base, Bregman, Chapman, Ramirez.
3 big names.
3 big names.
Me, Matt Chapman.
Honestly, I want to say Bregman, but I'm going to have Chapman steal it. I think he just was slightly better. The AL third base, AL defensively is pretty weak, so it's definitely not as good as the NL, but it'll go. Matt Chapman will work. Shortstop. I got a little rant about this one, but first we're going to have Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Anthony Volpe.
Do I go Yankees again? I think I do. Let's go Volpe.
I don't want to go Volpe, but I'm going to. But let me talk about my rant real quick.
Go ahead.
Because I'm sick of the popularity
contest.
Floor is yours. I'm sick of the popularity contest. Where is Bobby Witt Jr.? Bobby Witt Jr. was one of the best defenders in the entire league, especially over, in my opinion, Corey Seager. So why is he not even on this list? In my opinion, he could have even made an argument to beat Volpe for the glove, and he's not even in the top 3 because he plays for the Royals. But I'm not done there. Another Royal player that should be here over Jose Ramirez, in my opinion, is Maikel Garcia. Why? I don't understand why it's become a popularity contest. We're talking about how weak the defense is in the AL. There are good defenders, we just don't look at them. Why are these 3 the 3 that are up there whenever you have 2 Royals players? And me, of all people, being a Royals guy, I'm a White Sox fan, so I hate the Royals. But I cannot sit there and say that Bobby Witt is not on this list, and Maikel Garcia is not on this list either. I hate it.
Awesome.
Now that I'm done with that, moving on to the left field, we have Austin Hayes, Stephen Kwan, and Dalton Varsho.
Stephen Kwan for me.
Give me Dalton Varsho. I think both of them are neck and neck. I don't think there's going to be very much that ties the 2 apart, but I take Varsho. Center field, finally I get to see Luis Robert up there. Kevin Kiermaier and Julio Rodriguez. Who you got?
I like Julio and I like Robert, but I'm gonna go Kiermaier.
I got to go Kiermaier as well. He's one of the best defenders of our generation. I mean, you don't ever hear Kiermaier about he doesn't hit the ball very often. Yeah. But when he does play defense, he is insane. He had 13 outs above average and 18 defensive runs saved above everyone else in the center field list. Luis Robert had a breakout season this year. I'm really excited to see him. He's on the picture there, but I got to give it to Kiermaier here. Pitcher, Jose Esparilla. It's just pitcher. Yeah, he's the only one that really. Another team with two players on it, but he's the only one that really did much. Utility. This one's a little bit harder. I think all 3 of these guys had really good seasons. McKinstry played mostly in the outfield, a little bit in the infield. Dubon played a lot more in the infield, and Taylor Walls also played a lot more in the infield. So I'm going to take Dubon purely because of his production in the infield at different positions.
I'm going to agree with you on that one.
But that's all for our Golden Glove. Let's move on to a little bit of prospect scouting here. All of these top teams in the league, right now, it's their time to shine. It's their time to look at the teams that have been amazing all year. But I think now it's time for us to look at the teams that have not, and the teams that have the best future to be in their stage. So I want to look at some of the top 10 prospects and see how we feel about them. Jordan Lawler. First off, Jordan Lawler got called up coming into this year. I'm pretty sure he's on the Diamondbacks playoff squad, if I remember correctly. And he's one of those players I was very excited to see in AAA. I'm very interested to see what his production is like on the Diamondbacks. How do you feel about the Diamondbacks getting another one of those young rookies to be on the playoff team?
You know, small market teams, you have to have a good farm system like this to compete. And now you see them competing, and they have a good farm system. They're going to be a force for years to come. And having these young players like this produce, even in the playoffs, is crazy important.
In Arizona, it's one of those states that, like, you don't mind playing there if the team's good enough. Yeah. So, I mean, you might see some good signings coming in there. At number 9, we got from the Padres, Jackson Merrill. Another player that I'm very high on. He's listed as shortstop. I knew him mostly as a second baseman down on his lower farm system days. I don't really know where his place is going to be on this Padres roster. This is a very infield-heavy team.
And even with the Padres, they don't have that good of a farm system because they spent all that money on those star players.
Mm-hmm. So, but the thing is, they have 2 top 10 people, which shocked me. Yeah. And, of course, Merrill, he's not estimated to be in the league till 2024, which is about midway through next year. I don't see him really playing too much unless he is taking a replacement or someone that's hurt, maybe a Xander Bogaerts to be a little bit more injury-prone. I'm excited to see that. At number 8, we got Evan Carter. He's playing for the Rangers right now, playing very well for the Rangers. How do you feel about the Rangers even more young talent coming in?
I mean, what more can you say about the farm systems and how they do it? I mean, he's producing in the playoffs, and at that age, and if you produce in the playoffs, you have a bright future ahead of you. He has a long career and a great career ahead of him. I agree. I love to see a team, and I'm loving this new brand of baseball. It's not just the teams that buy the most; it's the team that bring up the most. The Astros are mostly a Dominican team. They all brought them from the Dominican Republic. They didn't draft a lot of them. They normally just signed a lot of them. The Rangers, they're a Moneyball team. Let's be honest. They bought their team. But they're doing good. The Phillies also kind of bought their team. But the Diamondbacks, another young team that lifted it up from the ashes. I like this brand of baseball. Going on from another former Padres prospect, but now a part of the Nationals from the Juan Soto trade, we have James Wood. He is in AAA right now, expected to be in the league in 2024. A center fielder, which is something that the Nationals really need. The Nationals need a lot right now.
The Nationals need everything. They really need pitching, but we'll get to that eventually. Yeah. The Nationals finally, have some talent in the top 10, which is something we haven't really seen.
2 outfielders too.
I'm very excited to see how this goes for them. Yeah. I think that this team, they're going to be one of those teams.
They won that World Series and then just immediately fell off.
Honestly, I forgot they won the World Series. Yeah. It's one of those teams that they'll be in the playoffs in a few years, I think. Yeah. They have the talent. They can even make it within the next year or 2. Really? If they just, those young players step up, I would see it similar to a Diamondbacks. Not as far as the Diamondbacks, but like a little sneaky wild card team coming in there, especially in the NL. Moving on to number 6, we have Junior Camiaro from the Rays. He plays third baseman and shortstop a lot. He is already at the MLB level, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he is. And he's been looking really good. I really liked him coming out of the AAA farm system for...
That's what the Rays do.
The Rays,
Come on.
They're known for that. And unfortunately, they lost Wander Franco. But for them, now you have Junior coming in, kind of taking over that space. I think that he'll be a really good replacement for Wander because I don't think he's going to be coming back anytime soon.
I don't believe so.
At number 5, Ethan Salas. He's in AA. He's supposed to be here in 2026. He is 17 years old.
And already being the 5th prospect, listed with all these players that are already in the MLB. That's huge for him at his age.
And for a team like the Padres, a team that is really looking for a catcher, Luis Campuzano, he looks really good. And I really think that this team, they have so much potential with the Padres.
They do.
That now having a 17-year-old that whenever Gary Sanchez retires and whenever probably, if they keep Luis, it'll be interesting to see or not. But in a few years, and this is one of the few prospects we get to see, in fact, it's the only one that we're not seeing next year probably. Yeah. I'm very interested to see how he plays out because 17 years old. He is 2 years younger than me.
Yeah, three than me.
That is insane for me to even think about. So for him to be top 5, I mean, good for him. Yeah. Going in at number 4, someone that I kind of expected to see in a Pirates uniform this year, but Dylan Cruz. I'm an LSU fan. I love to see it. He's going to be another outfitter for the Nationals that they need. Having Lane Thomas have a breakout year.
Those LSU guys right now, huh?
LSU in a lot of sports other than football. They've looked really good. In football, disappointing year.
They got a pretty good, for football this year. Yeah. But for the players in the NFL, though.
This is a team that I'm very excited to see where the Nationals go. Like we said before, I think that Dylan Cruz is going to look really good on that team. The pitcher, something we do not see a lot on this list, Paul Skeens for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Be up there. He is a talent.
We're going to get to see him a little bit here in Indianapolis when he comes up to AAA. and I'm very excited to see what he can do.
No, absolutely.
Pirates are very top-heavy in their pitching. Mitch Keller, Lorenzi Contreras, 2 pitchers that are solid, but with Paul Skeens in the mix, I think Paul Skeens gets called up like early because they need it. And honestly, he's ready.
And it's the Pirates. I mean, want to try something out. You know, they're going to be good for a while, probably, if I had to guess, Pirates.
And we saw it with Yuri Perez from the Marlins. He came up this year. He was 19 years old, did not speak any English, and he put on phenomenal production for the Marlins. If you need to call them up, these kids are ready by now.
Yeah.
It's surprising. It's not like back then where the kids weren't ready. They are ready now. So call them up. They might as well. At number 2, outfielder Jackson Chourio from the Milwaukee Brewers. He has been the talk of the town. He was number 1 for a decent amount of time. Everyone knows about Jackson Chourio. I'm very excited to see what he can do when called up. The Brewers need a center fielder badly. So, like, it's not just like
I mean, the Brewers are a few pieces away from being a legitimate contender. I mean,
they just can't win in the playoffs. But the Central's pretty easy. So I mean, of all places to be, they're in a decent spot. Last but not least, the super kid that we all know about, Jackson Holliday.
Jackson Holliday.
How excited are you about seeing him in the league?
Super excited. I mean, that name, you know, if it lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
He will be an absolute stud. And I mean, being with Baltimore as well, with all that young talent they already have, with, you know, Rutschman and all they have in Baltimore, and they already a number 1 seed in the AL this year. If he becomes a star too, Baltimore has a legit team.
I'm very excited to see how the prospects look coming into this next year. We've seen some phenomenal ones come into this year. Corbin Carroll, Eddie De La Cruz, and more. I'm very excited to see where that is. But that's going to be all for the MLB section for today. We'll be back next week on Grand Slam Sports.